Now, I'm not one to bring up these certain subjects, but in this case, well, I can't help myself. You see, I want to be speaking about cults, and then, recently, a former multi-level marketing company, previously known as NXIVM, or NXIVM, has been brought in. One of its founders had been convicted, sent to jail, and has been brought to light recently as its darker persona, DOS, or The Vow. It takes a place as a sex cult due to its recent findings that the members would brand and blackmail women into sex. Oh, that's great. Is this mic on? Technical difficulties. I'm sorry. This behavior is disgusting, and I hope the members of this cult that knew what they were doing and did it with enjoyment burn in hell. Okay. Not only were they performing the crime of sex trafficking, though, they were scamming people with a pyramid scheme technique to profit more. Now, I don't like bringing up controversy a ton, but seeing as more and more news outlets are already reporting on what's there, Philip Frank, I believe I need to do more digging. Cringe. The founder of both the company and the sex cult was a man known as Keith Raniere. He was convicted of court on Wednesday, June 19th. Keith founded the company back in 1998, but had been accused of causing pyramid schemes prior to NXIVM's founding. Moving back to the company, they offered a sort of enlightenment training program. In my experience, a majority of groups like these have been scams, but none of them have gone as far as to have a sex cult in its ranks. The training has never been disclosed to the public, of course, as a result of non-disclosure agreements, but it's definitely a frustration for me for behind the scenes. But the only thing that we got was Raniere was supposed to be referred to as Vanguard. In 2003, Forbes, the Rich magazine, reported on NXIVM with Edgar Prompton Sr., the father of two of its members, to tell Forbes, I think it's cult. This would only be natural of Forbes to make another article giving us linking details behind what they got from 2003 and what they now have in 2019. Forbes goes over in detail on both sides of Raniere, from his clientele calling him admirable, and then you have a person like Edgar describing it as a cult. They do a good job of straying away from the sex cult practices and talk in detail about the pyramid scheme inner workings. This is where it all gets confusing for me, heads up, because I lose track of who got involved, who got caught first, so there might be some parts that were shut off real quick, but I'll try. But moving on. They did a good job on the pyramid scheme, so let's start with that first. According to Forbes, Raniere and his assistant, Nancy Salzam, or is it Sism? I'll call it Salzam. I'm sorry. Wait, why am I sorry for? These people are monsters. Alright, they would pressure everyone in the group to sign non-disclosure agreements, which, if disclosed, would be considered as compromising inner honesty, integrity, all that stuff. Not only that, though, there's been a scenario where a group member actually disclosed this information, but was quickly shut down when Raniere sued her and threatened to sue any reporters who wanted to write about the subject. Forbes went on to describe how certain members began to have mental problems and tried to get help, but to no avail. Now onto the subject of the cult itself, or to put it into better terms, NXIVM's darker side, the DOS. Now, the DOS, or the Vow, is the cult inside NXIVM. I did some digging and found out that in 2017, an article by the New York Times had been posted about NXIVM being... Alright, sorry about the cut. I just had to do something real quick. Alright, back to what I was talking about. The New York Times had posted about NXIVM being a cult in disguise as a self-help society. Now, I do have to warn you, some of the things being described here are graphic, so be ready. NYT, New York Times, interviewed a victim and had a very helpful insight to this monstrosity of a company. She said a woman by the name of Lauren Salzam, who happens to be Nancy Salzam's daughter, would have them say, "Master, please brand me. It would be an honor." Jesus Christ. Just before a doctor seared a 2-inch symbol below the women's waist. Each of these women were held down by a couple of different people, one of them happening to be Allison Mack. Remember that, that's important later. That's the type of stuff women had to deal with, also on lines of blackmail, sex trade, rape, and so many more horrid things. That, though, was only the beginning of the cult. The cult started spreading even more, with each of its high-ranking members using their influence to bait one sex slave after another. It's found in CBC News that Rainier actually participated in the sex cult and had sexual relations with a young girl when she was just 15. This is where the controversies and rumors start coming in. Since the eye-catching parts have already been revealed, news outlets wish to stay on top of each other, so they start exaggerating parts of what went down in the cult. Frustrating, but we'll just have to move on to where this all leaks into real life. Rainier was charged with several crimes along with his associates, so it's unclear what would happen now to the rest of the group now that a leader of his caliber has been removed. But I'm guessing he'll just keep giving his speeches in prisons. Now into the larger topic of cults in general. Cults have been around as long as religion, which means they've been around for a long time. Well, no, Sherlock. Nowadays, you would expect that in the evolution of mankind, there would be no room for such groups, but actually it can be much easier for them since the internet came out. The groups I track down nowadays, they use the internet, the deep web to be precise, to get by with their inhumane activities. This case wasn't exactly what I expected, but was much worse to be exact. There wasn't much headlines of them using the internet, except for pictures, spreading them, all that. They actually did this by hiding in plain sight. This case wasn't exactly what I expected, because they used their convenient secrecy and group influence to their advantage and started the cult activities without much use of the internet. Like I said, this makes it horrible how they used legal laws, non-disclosure laws, to get by this legally. This loophole does need to be fixed. So please, everyone, make sure you know what you're getting into when you join a group. I'll see you later.